Chairman, I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anybody need to use their repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. My name is Brenda. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign break and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to W5FC.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur radio operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. 1. General announcements. 2. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. 3. National Space Society events. 4. Discussion topic of the evening. 5. Was Up. 6. Space exploration and space history. 7. Constellation of the week. 8. Space launches of the week. 9. Recent astronomical discoveries. 10. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. 11. Astronomical Q&A. 12. 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So let's start with low power and short time check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, name, and where you're transmitting from this evening.
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Uniform Sierra Gus, far northeast Dallas, low power.
All right, we have Whiskey 5 GUS. Gus, welcome to the net. Next up, regular check-ins. Please come now.
Whiskey 5, Bacon, Lettuce, Tomato, W5 BLT, Bill, Garland.
Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike. Tony, trapped in an amusement park.
Kilo India 5, Papa Golf Mike, Travis, and Garland.
In Irving.
Kilo India 5, November Oscar November. Logan, also on Garland.
Alpha Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel Robert Richardson.
This is Alpha Golf Niner, Sierra Golf, Antonio in Dallas.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey.
This is Kilo Echo 5, Echo November, Eric in Plano.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
Okay, we have W5BLT, Bill, KF5ZBL, Bill, ANT5TM, Tony, KI5PGM, Travis, and Logan, I missed half your call. Would you please come back with it?
This is Kilo India 5, November Oscar November. KI5 NON, Logan.
KI5NON, Logan, thank you. AA5AH, Robert, AG9, I think it's 0G, Antonio, I don't think that's right. Would you correct me, please, Antonio?
Yes, that is correct. Sierra Alpha Golf Niner, Sierra Golf.
Thank you. Alpha Golf, Niners, Sierra Golf. KG5, Whiskey, Victor Lima, James. KG5, BZW, Jay. KE5, Echo November, Eric. KE5, ICX, Tom. Okay, how about some Echolink check-ins?
Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman on Echolink. This is Kilo 5, Kilo Tango X-Ray Kelly in Quinlan.
Okay, Billy, I'm sorry, I blanked on the prefix of your call. Would you please say it again?
Prefix is Kilo 5.
Kilo Foxtrot 5 PDS Billy and K5 KTX Kelly. All right, more general check-ins.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha. Chaz, Planet Earth, let's see now, Dallas County, Mesquite.
This is Kilo India 5, Kilo Tango Zulu, Philip, White Rock Creek.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sierra Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth.
Okay, we have KF5JH8, Earthling Chaz, KF5KTZ, Philip, and KB9SOK Sean. Any more check-ins now? All right, then. We'll let that rest for a bit. We'll come back for more check-ins. Do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams.
K05 Charlie, checking in. November Tango 5, Tango Mike.
Kilo 5, Juliet Delta Whiskey.
Okay, the first station that checked in, I missed your call. Would you please come back with that?
Kilo Lima 5, Charlie. Anchorage, Alaska, checking in.
Sorry, I still didn't copy your call sign and name.
Kilo Lima 5, Charlie. Charlie Brown, the original, Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay, copy. Kilo Lima 5 Charlie. Welcome to the net. And I have K5JDW John checking in. And NT5TM Tony, I think you're here for an announcement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening and thank you. Although this is awesome, it is not the last net of the evening. Sadly, we have a movie to discuss. Kiss versus the Phantom of the Opera. I mean, the Phantom of the Amusement Park, or something like that. We'll be talking about a star vehicle for the mediocre 70s metal band Kiss tonight at 10:30 p.m. Yeah, plus or minus a few minutes, right here. Of course, there's a lot more going on in our ham world, and most of it is more intelligent than that movie. We do have a meeting on the air tomorrow at 7 and a Races Trading Net tomorrow at 8. It is, after all, the third Sunday. Tomorrow at noon. At noon, though, there's something special happening, an in-person event. If you've been trying to go on a fox hunt recently and you haven't found the fox, if you're wondering how would I find that missing person if they were just frantically trying to reach me, well, it turns out that's actually the same skill. Dallas CERT Zone 2, in cooperation with the White Rock Lake Amateur Radio Club, will be presenting a fox hunt / missing person finding training class tomorrow at noon at Flagpole Hill in Northeast Dallas. I'll be available during the net and afterward if you want to ask me any questions about how to find that. But really, just go to Flagpole Hill at noon, go to any search engine or mapping program, it'll tell you where Flagpole Hill is. We'll have hot dogs, we'll have missing people hiding out in the grass, we'll have radio transmitters, we'll have expert trainers, all that fun stuff, maybe even some dill pickles. But seriously, fox hunting and missing person training will be tomorrow at noon at Flagpole Hill from the White Rock Lake Amateur Radio Club and Dallas CERT. But maybe you can't go out there in person, but you do know someone who's always been there in person, who's been working hard and participating in lots of public service events and inspiring others to do that. You should nominate that person for the Whit and Ann Griffith Community Service Award. Anyone can nominate a Dallas Amateur Radio Club member for this award, which recognizes a DARC member who has gone above and beyond for public service within the past year. Go to w5fc.org, click on the Contact Us link, and give us a very short, roughly one paragraph, 250-ish words, roughly one paragraph explanation of why your nominee should win the nifty plaque that we give out each year for the Whit and Ann Griffith Community Service Award. There is probably somebody out there who deserves this award, and you know who that person is, so please nominate them. So we've got all sorts of fun things coming up. A fox hunt with lost person finding at noon tomorrow, a wonderful movie discussion net tonight at 10:30, and an award that you can nominate a DARC member for anytime you like. NT5TM.
Thank you, Tony. This is WB50ZL. Other announcements. The AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 2 nets available to Dallas residents. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central, you will need Echolink installed and be registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, a live audio link is available on their website. It's amsatnet.com. This net originates in Houston. Dallas AMSAT Net East, Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on this repeater, 146.88 megahertz, PL 110.9 megahertz, Tuesdays. Tom, N5HYP, is the net control. All are welcome to check in. First Tuesday of the month is DARC Club Night, so no AMSAT East that night. Dallas AMSAT Net West is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz, PL tone 110.9 megahertz, positive offset. Okay, we also have another check-in, KI5KTX. Philip from Arlington. All right, the DARC hosted nets. Mondays, first week ham fixins. Second week MCOM 101. Third week ham fixins again. Fourth week GeekNet. Fifth week Surprise Net. If we told you what it was, it wouldn't be a surprise. On-air participation is encouraged. Tuesdays, AMSAT East, 8 p.m. Fridays, CERT City Simulation, 8 o'clock. Learn about emergency radio communications via CERT-trained amateur radio operators. Melissa, KI5GRH, is usually the net control. Visit the most disaster-prone city in the universe every Friday. CERT City, all are welcome. Saturdays, TechNet 7 o'clock, and of course, Skynet at 9. First and third Sundays, Dallas Amateur Radio Club meeting on the air. That's BOTA at 7 p.m. Every day, ARRA Net, National Traffic System Training Net, every night at 6:30 p.m. Central. All are welcome to check in on any or all of these nets. Now, let's talk about tonight's Afterglow movie. Joseph Barbera had run out of ideas. His animation TV shows were seeing creative strain. The all-new Popeye Hour, Casper and the Space Angels, and finally, Space Ghost and Dino Boy has seen the animator continue to slide. Later works like Snappy Doodle and his idiot dog Dimwit, Senator Everett Dick Dirksen and the Killer Robots, and finally, the Dead Squirrel Comedy Hour showed how much strain the animator was under. While freebasing Everclear, Barbera had a new idea. How about I make a live-action movie with a rock group singing songs everyone knows? The Everclear was working, and there was only one group which could fit the animator's idea of colorful enough for Everclear, and it was KISS. Join us for KISS Meets the Phantom of the Park from 1978 tonight at 10:30 p.m. I didn't pick this, okay? No matter what Tom says. You can keep up with all DARC events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. Next up, Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, where and when you can look through a telescope. I'm going to call on Chaz, KF5JHA, to give us a rundown on this.
Thank you, Brenda. Good evening, everyone. This is KF5JHA. The next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas club meeting will be held on Friday, January the 27th. That would be the year 2023. And the meeting will be held at 7:30 p.m. in person at the University of Texas at Dallas, but there's also a Zoom feature as well for those that can't attend in person. The feature speaker will be Dr. Erika Ellingson from the University of Colorado, and her topic is on prehistoric moon watchers. I'm going to be very interested in that. Now, the Saturday night public observing sessions have begun again. Skynet was picked to be on Saturday nights so that there could be an opportunity for live reports from the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas public observing sessions. Now, I don't know if the one happened tonight. I believe it's in Frisco, but let me see if there is. Is there someone that's attending the Frisco Star Party that would like to do a check-in right now? I have a feeling if we want to get a report from Frisco, they're going to have an antenna up in the air quite a bit, and or over Echolink, so I didn't hear anything. All right. To check the TASS website, texasastro.org, for up-to-date information and details about meetings and public observing sessions. You can go there. And this is KF5JHA, back to Internet Control. It's all yours, Brenda.
Thank you. Now I'd like to ask Bill, N5BB, for information on the National Space Society events and activities.
Thank you, Brenda. This is N5BB. I happen to be the member-at-large and membership director of the National Space Society North Texas chapter. We meet on the second Sunday afternoon of every month. So our last meeting was this previous Sunday, January the 8th, and our presentation was about the space launches expected in 2023 by our own Ken Ruffin, the president of our local chapter. There was a really neat National Space Society Space Forum This is for National Space Society members only, really, and it's something that occurs every few weeks on Thursday evenings. And this is a Zoom meeting by the main National Space Society, the international one. Anyway, they had a really neat space forum here 2 days ago on Thursday evening concerning commercial low Earth orbit, it's LEO space stations, and the NASA commercial LEO destinations program. This is really cool, talking about various companies, Axiom and several others that are actively working on space stations. Some of which are going to be completely independent of the ISS. One particular one is currently, the initial part of it is connected to the ISS and will be upgraded, and then it will be disconnected from the ISS. So this is a really, really interesting over 1 hour thing. It's one of the advantages of being a National Space Society member. You get to see these really neat space forums with experts in the field. This is in 5BB. The big deal coming up is the International Space Development Conference. This is the National Space Society yearly event talking about development in space. And there's people that come to it from all over the world. And this year, it will be the last week of May 2023 in Frisco, our own suburb on the north side of Dallas. And the exact dates are May the 20... Hold on as I scroll my calendar. May the 20... I'm sorry. It helps if you're in the correct year. Just a moment. May the 25th through the 28th. That's Thursday, May the 25th through Sunday, May the 28th. This is right before Memorial Day, which is Monday the 29th. And it will be at the Frisco, Texas, at the Embassy Suites by Hilton in Frisco. Again, this is a big deal. There are keynote speakers that are typically astronauts and sometimes NASA administrators or previous NASA administrators or program administrators for certain space-related programs of various companies. Or other people who are well known in the space community. This is the human use of space community. It has nothing to do with astronomy. Anyway, again, International Space Development Conference 2023. I'm trying to organize a CubeSat and amateur radio related activity there at the event, which we think we're going to be able to do. So if you're interested in that, please contact me. So if you have any interest in National Space Society or North Texas chapter, you can reach me. That's it, November 5 Bravo Bravo, N5BB at ARRL.net, or space@byrom.net, BYROM.net. And our next local chapter meeting is going to be on the, of course, the second Sunday of February at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. We probably will have some other events coming up at museums and everything, but they're not coming up here in the next couple of weeks. That's all I got for now. Lots of things going on with National Space Society because there's a lot of space shots coming up here this year. N5BB. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Let's take more check-ins now.
Kilo Golf 5, Juliet Papa Uniform, Anthony in Benbrook on Echolink with an announcement. Over.
Okay, Kilo Golf 5, Juliet Papa Uniform, I think. Anthony, go ahead with your announcement.
Thank you, Brenda. Since this is a net that talks about everything in space, I figured I would make an announcement regarding the greatest show on Earth. The Cowtown Amateur Radio Club's annual Cowtown Hamfest will be this coming Friday, January 20th, 2023, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and on Saturday, January 21st, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be VE sessions on both days. There will be vendors inside the venue. There will be tailgating outside for those that wish to tailgate. There will be presentations both on Friday as well as Saturday. Since I'm the one who's putting the presentations together, the presentation list will be put up probably somewhat early next week. There are pre-ticket sales right now for $8 that you can actually purchase online at the Cowtown Hamfest webpage. If you Google Cowtown Hamfest 2023 and reset the page, if you've been on there from last year, make sure you get rid of the cash and the cookies. You should be able to scroll down and you should see two links, one for table sales that says open and the other one for individual ticket sales. The individual ticket sales window will be closing on Wednesday. For those of you that will not be able to purchase tickets, or I should rephrase that, not able to get pre-sale individual tickets at $8, you can buy them at the door the day of the show for $10. There will be AMSAT presentations, an ARIS presentation. The ARIS presentation will be, I believe, at 2 p.m. The AMSAT presentation will be, there'll be an outside presentation on Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. since there'll be some satellite passes at that time, and the representative from AMSAT did not want to do a presentation inside the venue while he could be doing it outside and promoting how AMSAT works and with demonstrations. He will also be doing a presentation with the AMSAT on Saturday morning at 9 p.m. The Microwave Society folks will be doing a presentation at 10 a.m. on Saturday. And there is a whole list full of other presentations. DMR, the gentleman that will be doing the Bofang presentation, how to program your Bofang radio, he'll be there, as well as doing another antenna presentation afterwards. On the hour, after he does his initial Bofang presentation. If you need to get a hold of me, feel free to contact me either at my email address, Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa Uniform at ARRL.net, or you can call me on my cell phone at 817-707-6008. Again, it's 817-707-6008. And just in case I forgot, there will be BE testing on both days, Friday and Saturday. The talk-in frequency will be 146.94, both Friday and Saturday. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm here to help. Also, Bill, N5BB, can you contact me after the net? I do have a question to ask you if you'd be interested. Other than that, I'm going to give it back to Net Control. Everybody have a wonderful evening. This is Kilo Golf 5 Juliet Papa Uniform 7-3. God bless.
Okay, are you finished, Anthony?
Go ahead. Were you calling me? Over?
Yeah, I figured you were done, but I wasn't really sure because you didn't hand it back off. Okay, well, thank you for that. All right, next up, our feature by myself, entitled The Most Distant Spacecraft in the Solar System. Where are they now? Humans have been flinging things into deep space for 50 years now, since the 1972 launch of Pioneer 10. We now have 5 spacecraft that have either reached the edges of our solar system or are fast approaching it. Pioneer 10, Pioneer 11, Voyager 1, Voyager 2, and New Horizons. Most of these probes have defied their expected deaths and are still operating long beyond their original mission plans. These spacecraft were originally planned to explore our neighboring planets, but now they're blazing a trail out of the solar system, providing astronomers with unique vantage points in space. They've been up to a lot in 2022. Voyagers 1 and 2. The Voyager mission celebrated a very special anniversary this year, 45 years of operations. From close flybys of the outer planets to exploring humans' furthest reach in space, these 2 spacecraft have contributed immensely to astronomers' understanding of the solar system. Their main project is now exploring where the sun's influence ends and other stars' influences begin. Voyager 1 crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the sun's flow of particles ceases to be the most important influence, in 2012, with Voyager 2 following close after in 2018. Voyager 1 has now been in interstellar space for a decade and is still going strong. And then the Spilker, Voyager project scientist and planetary scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, told Space.com. The mission team hit one major hiccup this year when the spacecraft began sending some garbled information about its location. The engineers found the cause. The spacecraft was using a bad piece of computer hardware when it shouldn't have, and restored operations. These kinds of incidents are to be expected with an aging spacecraft, though. The team is also actively managing the power supply on board each spacecraft, which is dwindling each year as the probe's radioactive generators grow increasingly inefficient. This year, mission personnel turned off heaters, keeping a number of scientific instruments on board warm in the harsh, cold environment of space. And much to everyone's surprise, these instruments are still working perfectly well. The cameras may have been turned off decades ago, but the spacecraft's other instruments are collecting data on the plasma and magnetic fields from the sun at a great distance away from the star itself. Because particles of the solar wind, the constant stream of charged particles flowing off the sun, take time to travel such a long way, distant observations allow scientists to see how changes from the sun propagate through our cosmic neighborhood. The edges of the solar system have been full of surprises, too. It would make sense that plasma from the sun becomes more sparse and spread out as you move away from the center of the solar system. But in fact, the Voyagers have encountered much denser plasma after crossing the heliopause. Astronomers are still puzzled about that one. Pioneers 10 and 11. The Pioneer spacecraft hold a special place in space history because their role as, you guessed it, pioneers. Unfortunately, these milestone 50-year-old spacecraft are non-functional. Pioneer 10 lost communications back in 2003, and Pioneer 11 has been silent since its last contact in 1995. Both these spacecraft are marks of humanity's presence in the solar system, and they're still continuing on their journeys. Even if we're not sending them commands or firing their rockets anymore. Once a spacecraft is set on a trajectory out of the solar system, according to the laws of physics, it won't stop unless something changes its course. New Horizons. It is by far the youngest sibling of these groundbreaking missions, having just launched in 2006. After completing its famous flyby of dwarf planet Pluto in 2015, this probe has been zooming out of the solar system at record speed, set to reach the heliopause around 2040. Not only has it completed its primary mission, but it successfully completed a flyby of the smaller Kuiper Belt object, Arrokoth, in 2019 as its first mission extension. Earlier this year, the spacecraft was put into hibernation mode because an extended mission hadn't yet been approved. But now, the team is excitedly moving into New Horizons' second Kuiper Belt extended mission, or KEM-2 for short. KEM-2 began on October 1, although the spacecraft will hibernate until March 1st, 2023. In the meantime, the mission team is preparing for exciting new observations. With cutting-edge instruments far more advanced than what the Voyagers carried in the 1970s, the team is prepared to use New Horizons as a powerhouse observatory in the distant solar system, providing a viewpoint we can't achieve here on Earth. Bonnie Barati, a planetary scientist at JPL and a member of the New Horizons team, is particularly looking forward to new views of Kuiper Belt objects, known as KBOs, the chunks of ice and rock beyond Neptune. New Horizons' unique position in the outer solar system provides new angles of looking at these KBOs, she said. Different views can tell astronomers about how rough the object's surfaces are, among other things, based on how light scatters and creates shadows on them. Another planetary scientist on the team from Southwest Research Institute in Colorado, Leslie Young, wants to use the spacecraft for a new look at something closer to home, ice giants, Uranus, and Neptune. New Horizons' unique viewpoint provides scientists with information on how light scatters through the planet's atmospheres, information we can't get from here on Earth, since we can't see Uranus and Neptune from that angle. Planetary scientists are eager for more information about these planets, especially as NASA begins planning for a new mission to visit Uranus. When the spacecraft wakes from hibernation, it will be past the so-called Kuiper Cliff, where scientists currently think there are fewer large KBOs. When we look at other star systems, we see debris disks extending to much larger distances from their host stars, said Brian Holler, an astronomer at Baltimore Space Telescope Science Institute. If ET were to look at our solar system, would they see the same thing? This next extended mission will even venture beyond New Horizons' original domain of planetary science. Now, the spacecraft will provide better than ever measurements of the background of light and cosmic rays in space, trace the distributions of dust through our solar system, and obtain crucial information on the sun's influence complementary to the Voyagers. Since the three functional, far-out spacecraft are headed in separate directions, they allow astronomers to map out irregularities in the solar system's structure. Luckily for New Horizons, signs indicate that the spacecraft will have enough power to last through the 2040s and possibly beyond, each year moving 300 million miles further into uncharted territory. That's an article from space.com. Okay, additional check-ins, please. All right, hearing none, we're now going to turn to Chaz, KF5JHA, with his presentation on What's Up. Go ahead, Chaz.
Thank you again, Brenda. And once again, this is Chaz, KF5JHA. We call this segment of Skynet What's Up, because it's all about what is going on astronomically over the next couple of weeks. Slide Master, that was slide number 1. If you didn't know who our slide master was, our slide master is Tom, and we thank Tom every week for doing that on our video version of Skynet. Slide master, slide number 2, please. On January the 14th, the moon was at third quarter. Wait, isn't that now? So the current phase of the moon is, of course, a third quarter moon. On January 21st, that's a week from now, the moon is at Perseus, which is a point in the moon's orbit that is closest to the Earth at a distance of 356,569 kilometers. Also, a week from now, on January 21st, is when we have a new moon. On January 28th is the first quarter phase of the moon. On February the 4th, the moon is at apogee, which is the point in the moon's orbit that is furthest from the Earth at a distance of 406,476 kilometers. And full moon will occur on February the 5th. Slide Master, slide number 3, please. On January the 20th, in the early morning southeastern sky, the moon and the planet Mercury will be in conjunction. If you remember, over the last couple of months, we were looking at Mercury in the evening sky. Now it's in the morning sky. Slide Master, slide number 4. On January 22nd, there is a conjunction of Venus and Saturn in the western evening sky. But that's only really part of the story. 4 of the 5 visible planets are still in the evening sky. Jupiter is high in the southwestern sky. Mars is about overhead right now. Slide Master, slide number 5, please. On January the 25th, the moon and Jupiter will be in conjunction high in the southwestern evening sky. And slide Master, slide number 6. On January the 30th, the moon will occult the planet Mars. This event is best observed with a pair of binoculars or a telescope, but you can see it with your 2 eyes. At around a few minutes after midnight, at 12:03 a.m. Central Standard Time, Mars will reappear from behind the moon. And just about 11:30, if I remember right, on the 30th is when the moon will occult Mars. So, a little bit more than 30 minutes of time. The times will vary depending on where you're located in the Metroplex. These times are calculated for Brookhaven campus of the Dallas College. And slide master, slide number 7, please. This is a last-minute addition to What's Up. I've ignored the predictions about this comet for several months, but I can't do that any longer. Comet C2022 E3 ZTF, that was within a range of binoculars a couple of weeks ago, and it could be visible to the naked eye in just a couple of weeks. Well, at least away from the city lights it could be. It was discovered back in March of 2022 at Zwicky Transient Facility. That's the ZTF on the end of the comet designation. Comet magnitude estimates are difficult to predict, but this comet has lived up to its predictions. Currently, it is an estimated magnitude of 6.5, which is just outside the naked eye visibility if you're in very dark skies. And around the end of January or the first few days of February, it could be brighter than magnitude 5.3, which is capable of being observed with your 2 eyes, again, away from the city lights. The video portion of Skynet has a recent image and a couple of finder charts, but you can just search for the comet 2022, in other words, 2022, E3, and you should find some more information about it. I'll have more details next week about this comet. I hope it's good. I'm going to have to try to look for it in the next couple of weeks. And this is KF5JJ, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 8, please. Once again, the next Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas Club meetings on Friday, January the 27th at 7:30 p.m. at the University of Texas at Dallas, and will also be held at Zoom. Dr. Erica Ellingson from the University of Colorado will be the featured speaker, and her topic will be prehistoric moon watchers. Saturday night public observing sessions have begun. You can get details about all of this at texasastro.org. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 9. Now, do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any of the information I've talked about? or maybe you just have a general astronomy questions. If you do, come now with your call sign if you have a question or need a fill.
W5GUS.
Gus, it's so hard to figure out who you are with your call sign. Gus, go ahead. What's your question?
Well, thank you, Chaz. W5GUS here. I had a question. I went out a little earlier tonight to try to see the ISS. I missed that, but as I looked up, I saw my favorite constellation, Orion. And I was wondering, I'm going to go out there a little later on tonight because the night sky tonight seems to be clearer than I've seen it in a long time. No clouds. It's a very beautiful night and not too cold. So I was wondering if you might have a couple suggestions for me to look maybe in Orion where I can locate the suggestions easy, and something I could look at tonight in Orion or nearby there with binoculars, and that would be interesting. Back to you, Chaz. W5GUS.
Gus, there's a lot of things in Orion to find. With binoculars, what I would suggest, of course, there's 4 stars that make up the main body of Orion, 2 shoulder stars, Betelgeuse and Bellatrix. And then we have Rigel and Scythe as the 2 stars for the knees. But through the center are the 3 stars for the belt. Now, if you look just below the eastern side, on the eastern belt, there's like 3 little faint things below that forming the sword. The middle part of the sword is actually the Orion Nebula. You can see it with your 2 eyes, but with binoculars you can see it much more easily. And if you have a telescope, if any of you out there have a telescope, take a look at it through a telescope. If you have a large enough telescope, you're going to see colors of the Orion Nebula, blue and red and white. Hey, it has a designation of 1976, the bicentennial of the United States. So isn't that interesting? It's red, white, and blue. Interesting. There's some other stars and stuff to see in Orion, but Orion and the surrounding area of that sky is the area that has the most bright stars in any sky that we can see from North America. I covered that last week. It's the Winter Circle, and Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse, as a lot of is the way I like to pronounce it, is that center star of the circle. So go outside, take a look, and see if you can identify those stars on the circle. SkyMaps.com is a great place to get a free star map. This is KF5JHA. Gus, did I answer your question?
Oh, you sure did, Chaz. Thank you very much. I'm excited. I'm excited to go out and take a look this evening. It's very clear, and I noticed Mars also while I was out there. Easy to spot the color. Thanks, Chaz. W5GUS. Back to net.
Well, I want to thank Tony. Let's see now, NT5TM. He told us all about the passage of the ISS that was happening during TechNet tonight, about 7:17. I was able to go out there and take a look. For me, where I live here in Mesquite, it went right by, the ISS went right by Jupiter, and Jupiter and ISS were just about the same magnitude, so same brightness. It was really fantastic. Okay, Slide Master, slide number 10. So as the moon wanes right now, so do these words for this segment of Skynet. Stay safe, keep well, and pray for our world. It's the only one where humans live right now. And until next time, actually I'll be doing another Skynet segment in a few minutes. Keep looking up so you know what's up. And this is KF5JHA. Back to our net control. It's all yours again, Brenda.
Thank you for that. This is WB50ZL. We have more check-ins. KA5ZTP N9ZMK KI5AOK. Get these on the back channel. Do we have names for these? That's fine. All right. Let's see. Next up is space exploration and space history. I'm going to call on Kelly, K5KTX. Go ahead, Kelly.
Brenda, this is K5KTX, and I'm sorry I've been battling a cough for the last week, so it may sound a little weird, but researchers have now confirmed an exoplanet, a planet that orbits another star, using NASA's James Webb Space Telescope for the first time. Formerly classified as LHS 475b, the planet is almost exactly the same size as our own, clocking in at 99% of Earth's diameter. LHS 475b is relatively close at only 41 light years away in the constellation Octans. The research team is led by Kevin Stevenson and Jacob Lustig-Jaeger, both of the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland. The team chose to observe this target with Webb after carefully reviewing targets of interest from NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS, which hinted at the planet's existence. Webb's near-infrared spectrograph, NIRSPEC, captured the planet easily and clearly with only 2 transit observations. The team's results were presented at the press conference of the American Astronomical Society on Wednesday, January the 11th of 2023. Among all operating telescopes, only Webb is capable of characterizing the atmospheres of Earth-sized exoplanets. The team attempted to assess what is in the planet's atmosphere by analyzing its transmission spectrum, but so far, they do not yet know if it has an atmosphere. Webb also revealed that the planet is a few hundred degrees warmer than Earth, so if clouds are detected, it may lead the researchers to conclude that the planet is more like Venus, which has a carbon dioxide atmosphere and is perpetually shrouded in thick clouds. The researchers also confirmed that the planet completes an orbit in just 2 days, information that was almost instantaneously revealed by Webb's precise light curve. Although LHS 475b is closer to its star than any planet in our solar system, its red dwarf star is less than half the temperature of the sun, so the researchers project it still could have an atmosphere. This rocky planet confirmation highlights the precision of the mission's instruments, and it is only the first of many discoveries that it will make. With this telescope, rocky exoplanets are the new frontier. Space history for this past week, starting with January the 9th, back in 1963, the Relay 1 communication satellite relayed the first television program through space, and that program was video of the unveiling of the Mona Lisa at the U.S. National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Carried out in cooperation with broadcasting companies in the United States and Europe, Relay 1 brought television of the event to stations in France and Great Britain. As they watched, the citizens of these countries were able to see the unveiling of the Mona Lisa painting in the National Gallery, along with the famous attendees present, such as President John F. Kennedy and French Minister of Cultural Affairs André Malraux. The Relay 1 satellite was one of the first satellites used to test the prospect of active communication in space. It went on to transmit other significant moments in 1963, including Winston Churchill's honorary U.S. citizenship ceremony, and later carried the first trans-Pacific television signals between Japan and the United States. This is K5KTX, and I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but it sounds like people are impatient over on Echolink to get to Chaz's joke, so I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. On January the 10th, back in 1946, in near Belmar, New Jersey, Lieutenant Colonel John H. DeWitt, Jr. bounced a radio signal off of the moon. DeWitt, the laboratory director of the U.S. Army Signal Corps Evans Signal Laboratory, had given his project the name Diana after the goddess of the moon. In 1940, DeWitt attempted to bounce radio signals off the moon in order to study the Earth's atmosphere. He wrote in his notebook, "It occurred to me that it might be possible to reflect ultra-short waves from the moon. If this could be done, it would open up wide possibilities for the study of the upper atmosphere. So far as I know, no one has ever sent waves off the Earth and measured their return through the entire atmosphere of the Earth." And on January the 10th, 1946, he succeeded. The first signals were detected at 11:58 a.m., and the experiment was concluded at 12:09 p.m. when the moon moved out of the radar's range. The radio waves had taken about 2.5 seconds to travel from New Jersey to the moon and back, a distance of over 800,000 kilometers. The experiment was repeated daily over the next 3 days and on 8 more days later that month. January the 11th, back in 1962, in his State of the Union message to the Congress, President John F. Kennedy said, "With the approval of this Congress, we have undertaken in the past year a great new effort in outer space. Our aim is not simply to be first on the moon, any more than Charles Lindbergh's real aim was to be first to Paris. His aim was to develop the techniques and the authority of this country and other countries in the field of the air and the atmosphere, and our objective in making this effort, which we hope will place one of our citizens on the moon, is to develop in a new frontier of science, commerce, and cooperation the position of the United States and the free world. This nation belongs among the first to explore it, and among the first, if not the first, we shall be." On this date, January the 14th, back in 2005, the European Space Agency Huygens probe touched down on Titan, one of the moons of Saturn. It was the first time a human-made vehicle had touched down on the surface of the moon in our outer solar system. Huygens had traveled to Saturn with NASA's Cassini mission to Saturn. We had a couple of astronaut birthdays this past week. January the 11th, 1975, Robert Hines, who was part of the SpaceX Crew 4 Expedition 6768, which launched last April of 2022 and landed in October of 2022. And then today, January the 14th, 1943, today is Shannon Luce's birthday. And she was quite the space shuttle traveler. She was on missions STS-51G, 34, 43, 58, 76, and 79 to the Mir space station. And that's all I've got this evening. Brenda, back to you.
Thank you, Kelly. This is WB50ZL. Do we have any more check-ins at this time? KF5, JHA, Chaz, you there?
I'm sorry, I missed my cue. I apologize. This is KF5JHA. Slide Master, slide number 11. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week is named in honor of Silent Key, Carolyn, KC50ZT. Carolyn contributed to Skynet each week, almost from its beginning in 2012 until May of 2019, with a detailed look at one particular constellation each week. Since there are about 52 easily visible constellations seen in Texas throughout the year out of the 88 total constellations, so Miss Carolyn covered the entire sky seen over North Texas in a year. And in her honor, we have continued that tradition of a constellation per week and named this segment after her. Miss Carolyn's Constellation of the Week this week is actually two: Perseus, the hero, and Camelopardalis, or Pardalis, the giraffe. And this is what everyone wanted to hear. Kelly, it wasn't the constellations of the week, it's the jokes that they really wanted. Slide Master, slide number 12, please. All right, here we go. Have you heard the new color-changing superhero? And we call him Human. Get it, Human? Okay, remember, Perseus is a hero, so that's why these are hero jokes. What do you call a superhero completely made of ice? Just ice? Justice? Okay, that didn't work as well. Who is Chaz's favorite comic book hero? The Punisher. Punisher? Okay, I have 3 more on giraffes now. I respect giraffes. They're an animal I can look up to. Why are giraffes so slow to apologize? Because it takes them a long time to swallow their pride. Well, that's a funny one, I think. What do you get when you cross a giraffe and a pig? Bacon and legs. Okay, Slide Master, it would be slide number 13 to get me out of this. Thank you. Perseus is the hero of the story involving several other constellations, which we've talked about. Cetus, the sea monster, Andromeda, the princess, Cassiopeia, the queen, Cepheus, the king, and of course, Pegasus, the flying horse. And this is KF5, JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 14. Algol, or Beta Persei, is also known as the Demon Star. It's one of the best-known stars in the sky. It's one of the first eclipsing binary star ever discovered and one of the first variable stars to be found. Beta Persei, or Algol, is in fact a triple star system composed of a primary star, Beta Persei A, which is eclipsed by Beta Persei B. The apparent magnitude of the system is about 2.1. It drops to 3.4 every 2 days, 20 hours, 49 minutes, and stays dimmer for about 10 hours, which is how long the eclipse lasts. There's a secondary eclipse, but the primary component called the dimmer star, but that can't be seen unless you're using a photoelectric device. The naked eye can't detect it. Algol is a prototype of class of stars known as the Algol variables, which has more than 3,000 different types of stars associated with that prototype. Algol system emits also X-rays and radio wave flares. It's about 92.8 light years away from us. Now, the next minima that you can look this up, but I looked it up, January 16th, just in a couple of days, at 5:48 a.m. Central Standard Time. January the 19th at 2:37 a.m. Central Standard Time. January 21st at 11:27 p.m. and January 24th at 8:16 p.m. Central Standard Time. Guess what? All of them were at night, so you could go look at them. All right. Slide Master, slide number 15, please. NGC 869 and 884, the double cluster is best seen in binoculars. These bright open clusters are easily visible to the naked eye as nebulous patches of light in northern Perseus. NGC 869 is brighter and more concentrated of the two. Slide Master, slide number 16. M34, a large, bright, open cluster easily seen in the viewfinder, is best seen in binoculars. But you can look at it through a telescope, composed of many bright stars and a sprinkling of fainter stars. It's about 4 minutes in diameter, 4 minutes of arc in diameter, and moderately concentrated at center. About 100 stars can be counted. It looks like a slightly fainter version of either the clusters in the double cluster. Slide Master, slide number 17. M76, the interesting planetary nebula, is composed of 2 lobes, each given at their own NGC number, and it's commonly known as the Little Dumbbell, and it resembles a smaller version of the famous planetary nebula called the Dumbbell in Vulpecula. Slide Master, slide number 18. Camelopardalis, the giraffe, is a relatively modern constellation, having been introduced by the Flemish astronomer Constellations in 1612. The name Camelopardalis is Latin for a camel with leopard spots, which loosely describes the giraffe. In fact, the scientific name for the giraffe comes with that designation. Slide Master, slide number 19. Beta Camelopardalis is the brightest star in the constellation, even though it's beta and not alpha. Yeah, okay. Beta is magnitude 4.0, which shows how dim the stars in that constellation are. Beta is a double star and is easily split at low power in a telescope. It's easy to split at even 41 power in an 8-inch telescope. Primary star looks white, maybe a touch of yellow. The companion star looks bluish in color. Now, another double star, Camelopardalis 11 and 12, are located near Beta Camelopardalis. The challenge of the double star 11 and 12 Camelopardalis is being able to see and split them with the unaided eye, because they're right at the limit of what's visible to the naked eye in very dark, clear skies. Slide Master, slide number 20, please. Kimball's Cascade and NGC 1502. NGC 1502 is a nice open cluster at one end of Campbell's Cascade. The Cascade is a long chain of about 20 unassociated stars first noticed by Kimball of Alberta, Canada. Kimball told Walter Scott Houston about this asterism, who named it Kimball Cascade in his honor. The name is stuck. The cluster, NGC 1502 itself, has about 45 stars that together shine at about magnitude 6, so it is easily picked up in binoculars and a finder scope. Slide Master, slide number 21, please. And the final object I want to talk about tonight in these two constellations is IC 342. It's called an index catalog, that's why it has IC in it, but most of the time people say if it's an IC number, it's hard to see. So IC 342 is a nice face-on spiral galaxy. It's long thought to be possibly an outlying member of our own local group, according to Burnham's Celestial Handbook and Walter Scott Houston's Deep Sky Wonders. It was never for certain, since the galaxy is near the plane of the Milky Way and obscured by dust of our own galaxy. More recent observations have shown that it's not a local group member. And this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Slide Master, slide number 22, please. There are a few more Astronomical League observing program objects in the constellation of Perseus the Hero and Camelopardalis the Giraffe. I've just given you a sampling of a few of those objects, and at last count, the Astronomical League has 75 different observing programs. Most have about 100 objects. Now, if you observe just 10 different objects in an observing program each month, then you can earn an observing certificate and a pen from the Astronomical League in about a year. And that is Miss Carolyn's Constellations of the Week, Perseus the Hero and Camelopardalis the Giraffe. I want to thank my friends Dave Hutchinson and Dennis Harwell, as usual, for their research and words on the deep sky objects that I use, borrow, and steal from them for every Skynet. I also at times use the website constellation-guide.com for information. Now, next time, I'll take a look at something that you've probably never heard of before. Okay, I'm pulling your leg. Taurus the Bull. And this is KF5JHA sending it back to our net control. 73, everyone. It's all yours, Brenda.
Thank you, Chaz. Next up, space launches for this week. KE5ICX. Tom, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Brenda. And this is KE5ICX. We got a big one tomorrow. This is the Falcon Heavy, USSS 67. This will launch between 6 and 6:30 Eastern Time, or 5 and 5:30 our time. Launch Complex 39A, Kennedy Space Center, Florida. Falcon Heavy will launch the USSF 67 mission for the U.S. Space Force. The mission will launch the Space Force's second continuous broadcasting augmenting SATCOM, or CBAS-2, military communication satellite and long-duration propulsion ESPA-3A or LDPE-3A rideshare satellites hosting multiple experimental payloads. Boy, they sure love their acronyms. January 18th, we have a Falcon 9 launch of GPS-3 SB06. This is from SLC-40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The U.S. Space Force 6th, third-generation navigation satellite for the Global Positioning System. The Falcon 9's first stage booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. January 18th, another Falcon 9. This is Starlink 2-4. This will launch from SLC-4E at Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. Falcon 9 rocket will launch another batch of 51 Starlink Internet satellites. This mission will deploy the Starlink satellites into a high inclination orbit, inclined 70 degrees to the equator. January 23rd, 24th, the Electron launch. Virginia is for launch lovers. That is the name of the launch vehicle. This will launch from LC-2 Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, Wallops Island, Virginia. The Electron launch vehicle will lift off with 3 satellites for the Hawkeye 360 radio frequency geospatial analytics provider. This will be the first Rocket Lab mission from the new launch pad in Virginia. Next up for January 24th, 25th, this will be a launch of the H-2A IGS Radar 7. This is from Launch Pad 1 in Tagagashima Space Center in Japan. The Japanese H-2A rocket, designated H-2A F-46, will launch the IGS Radar 7 radar reconnaissance satellite for Japan's information gathering satellite for the Japanese government Cabinet Satellite Intelligence Center. The H-2A rocket will fly in a 2024 configuration, which is 2 strap-on solid rocket boosters. Also in January, but to be determined, from Vandenberg will be another Starlink launch. This will be a batch of satellites deployed 70-degree inclination to the equator, just like the one I read to you a few minutes ago. Falcon 9, also Starlink 2-2, will launch from SLC-40 in Cape Canaveral into a high inclination orbit as well, 70 degrees from the equator. And then finally in late January, I'm going to go ahead and end with this, we have a launch of the Amazonas Nexus. This will launch from SLC-40 Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We'll launch the Amazonas Nexus communication satellite from Spanish company Hippasat. Amazonas Nexus will provide broadband connectivity for airplanes, ships, and other mobile users across the Americas, Greenland, and travel corridors across the Atlantic Ocean. Falcon 9's first booster will land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The satellite was built by Thales Alenia Space and is based on the Spacebus NEO platform. And Brenda, that's it for me right now, I think. This is KE5I6.
Thank you, Tom. I think we have time for at least part of the article on astronomical discoveries. So I'm going to start reading. We'll see how it goes. The title is, How Do Rocky Planets Really Form? A new theory for how rocky planets form could explain the origin of so-called super-Earths, a class of exoplanets a few times more massive than the Earth that are the most abundant type of planet in the galaxy. Further, it could explain why super-Earths within a single planetary system often wind up looking strangely similar in size, as though each system were only capable of producing a single kind of planet. As our observations of exoplanets have grown over the past decade, it's become clear that the standard theory of planet formation needs to be revised. starting with the fundamentals. We need a theory that can simultaneously explain the formation of the terrestrial planets in our solar system, as well as the origins of similar systems of super-Earths, many of which appear rocky in composition, says Caltech professor of planetary science Constantine Badegin, who collaborated with Alessandro Morbidelli of the Observatory dei whatever. A paper explaining their work was published in Nature Astronomy on January 12th. Planetary systems began their life cycles as large spinning disks of gas and dust that consolidate over the course of a few million years or so. Most of the gas accretes into the star at the center of the system, while solid material slowly coalesces into asteroids, comets, planets, and moons. In our solar system, there are two distinct types of planets: the smaller rocky planets closest to the sun, and the larger water and hydrogen-rich gas giants that are further from the sun. In an earlier study published in Nature Astronomy at the end of 2021, this dichotomy led Morbidelli, Badegin, and colleagues to suggest that planet formation in our solar system occurred in two distinct rings in the protoplanetary disk, an inner one where the small rocky planets formed, and an outer one for the more massive icy planets, two of which, Jupiter and Saturn, later grew into gas giants. Super-Earths, as the name suggests, are more massive than the Earth. Some even have hydrogen atmospheres, which makes them appear almost gas giant-like. Moreover, they are often found orbiting close to their stars, suggesting that they migrated to their current location from more distant orbits. A few years ago, we built a model where super-Earths formed in the icy part of the protoplanetary disk and migrated all the way to the inner edge of the disk near the stars, says Morbidelli. The model could explain the masses and orbits of super-Earths, but predicted that they are all water-rich. Recent observations, however, have demonstrated that most super-Earths are rocky, like the Earth, even if surrounded by a hydrogen atmosphere. That was the death sentence for our old model. Over the past 5 years, the story has gotten even weirder as scientists, including a team led by Andrew Howard, professor of astronomy at Caltech, Lauren Weiss, assistant professor at the University of Notre Dame, and Eric Pettigrew, formerly a Sagan postdoctoral scholar in astronomy at Caltech and now professor at UCLA, have studied these exoplanets and made an unusual discovery. While there exists a wide variety of types of super-Earths, all of the super-Earths within a single planetary system tend to be similar in terms of orbital spacing, size, mass, and other key features. Lauren discovered that within a single planetary system, super-Earths are like peas in a pod, says Howard, who is not directly connected with the Badegin-Morbidelli paper but has reviewed it. You basically have a planet factory that only knows how to make planets of one mass, and it just squirts them out one after the other. So what single process could have given rise to the rocky planets in our solar system, but also to uniform systems of rocky super-Earths? The answer turns out to be related to something we figured out in 2020 but didn't realize applied to planetary formation more broadly, Badegin says. In 2020, Badegin and Morbidelli proposed a new theory to the formation of Jupiter's 4 largest moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. In essence, they demonstrated that for a specific size range of dust grains, the force dragging the grains toward Jupiter and the force, or entrainment, carrying these grains in an outward flow of gas, cancel each other perfectly. That balance in forces created a ring of material that constituted the solid building blocks for the subsequent formation of the moons. Further, the theory suggests that bodies would grow in the ring until they become large enough to exit the ring due to gas-driven migration. After that, they stop growing, which explains why the process produces bodies of similar sizes. Okay, the article goes on. I'm going to quit there because it's 10:25 now. This article is from ScienceDaily.com. So go to quit there. This is WB5OZL. Do we have any more check-ins now? Station calling. You're so scratchy. I didn't get any of that.
I said this is Kilo, India, 5, Juliet, Charlie, Mike, Thomas, and Euless, no traffic. How copy?
Oh, that's perfect. KI5JCM, Thomas, welcome to the net. Okay, visible satellite passages over the next couple of days, KE5ICX. Tom, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, Brenda, this is KE5ICX. We got a couple of passes. Of course, the really nice one was tonight at the International Space Station, which started before this net. But the next one will be tomorrow evening, January 15th. This one will be a minus 3.1 magnitude. It'll be out of the south-southwest. It'll reach its highest point at 1831 at the southeast, and it'll fall to 1834 to the east-northwest east. So early tomorrow evening would be a good one to see. January 17th, minus 3.1 magnitude. This one is at 1827 in the evening. That'll be out of the west-southwest, reach its highest point at 1831 at 53 degrees, and it'll fall to the northeast at 1834. Let's see here. Next up is Tiangong. And bring that one up. We've got 3 good passes there. That's the Chinese space station that's in orbit. They've recently added another segment. Minus 2.3 magnitude, so it's rather bright too. 1908 in the evening. It'll be out of the west-southwest. It'll fly directly overhead at 1912 at 90 degrees to the northwest, and it'll fall into shadow at 1912-24 at 67 degrees. Next is January 18th. This one is a minus 1.5 magnitude, 1809 in the evening. Reach its highest point at 44 degrees at 1812, and it'll fall at 1815 to the east-northeast. And then finally, on January 19th, this one will be minus 1.5 magnitude, 1847. Again, all of these are in the early evening. Reach its highest point at 47 degrees at 1850, and it'll fall to the northeast at 1852. And that's it, Brenda. That's all I got. Back to you, KE5I6.
Okay, thank you. Any final check-ins?
Kilo India 5, Kilo Whiskey Golf, cruise in Arlington.
Okay, KI5, KWG, cruise, welcome to the net.
This is KF5JHA. I want to do a relay for N5IMS. JJ in Carrollton, he's on Echolink.
Sorry, was he checking in? Would you repeat his call again?
November 5, India, Mike, Sierra.
Okay, November 5, India, Mike, Sierra. Thank you. All right, we had 29 hams tonight. Oh, if only we could have one more and make 30. Oh well, we appreciate everybody who is here tonight, and want to thank you all for checking in. I hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the...
I'm completely operational.
Looking for
all
net
my
control
circuits
stations
are
for this
functioning perfectly.
and other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions about this net in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful Internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday, this is WB50ZL. My name's Brenda, and I'll be closing the net at 10:30 p.m. local time and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 73, everybody, and enjoy the evening. Discover the universe. But wait, K5ICX, what time are we going to start Afterglow?
Brenda, we're going to go ahead and start in about 5 minutes. So do what you need to do. Come back in 5. Tonight's movie, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. This is a real winner. KE5ICX.
KG5JPL, N5BB. Anthony, did you want to talk to me quickly?
Won't be sorry. This is WB50ZL clear.
KG5JPL, N5BB. Anthony, did you want to talk to me quickly before the next net starts? KG5JPL, this is N5BB. Anthony, you still there?
Bill, this is Chaz. He's not on Echolink anymore. KF5JHA.
Okay, he said he wanted me to comment into the net, so I was doing that. Okay, 73. See you later, Chaz. I bet you didn't watch this movie. Oh boy, what a movie. I'm going to put the word movie in scare quotes in 5BB. See you, Chaz.
Brenda, I should have checked in one more person. Bob the cat came in a few minutes ago, so can we include him in the count for tonight?
Does he have a ham license?
I can feed him some ham.
Okay, what's his call sign?
Meow.
Okay. What type of cat is Bob?
He's a tabby cat. He's striped gray. He's staring at me right now because I'm disturbing his sleep by talking.
One of my favorite cats in my life was a gray tabby. He was my baby, but unfortunately he pushed out the screen one night and got out, and I think a coyote got him, so it's very sad. Oh well, he was wonderful while he lasted, and he'll always be special to me. And his name was Sydney. All right. This is WB50ZL, just standing by for our wonderful movie discussion.
Well, Bob the cat is 95% outside, but when it gets cool enough outside, he likes to stay inside because he likes hot weather. I mean, he loves to lay in the sun when it's 110 degrees. All right, I better stop because it's about 90 seconds away from Afterglow. This is KF5, JHA, and Bob the cat. Sing 73, and good night, everyone.
everybody run back to the radio. It's time for the Afterglow Movie Net. I am KE5ICX. I guess I'm net control. Unless somebody else wants to be net control. Would anybody else like to be net control to discuss Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park? I suspected that might happen. Oh well. So, tonight's movie is Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. This was a 1978 American television film starring the hard rock band Kiss and produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions. Yes, the animators. The film's plot revolves around Kiss, who use their superpowers to battle an evil inventor, Abner Devereaux, played by one of my favorite bad guy actors, Anthony Derby, and to save California Amusement Park from destruction. NBC aired the film at the height of Kiss' popularity in the United States through the film's poor acting and semi-comedic script. Most Kiss fans disliked the film. Despite the film's poor quality, it has attained cult film status. The members of Kiss despised the film for making them appear buffoonish. For years after its airing, no one who works as a group was permitted to mention the film in their presence. So that's what we're dealing with. Brenda really wanted to mention and see this film, so we dredged it up and we found it. It's actually available for a free download over at archive.org, so this may be in public domain. Or even if it's not in public domain, nobody cares. So this is how this works. I'm going to read you the plot, and then after that, I'm going to take check-ins to find out who's out there and wants to talk about the film or doesn't want to talk about the film. But then I'll ask for your call sign, your name, and did you see the film? If you didn't see the film, that's fine. We can talk about Kiss or other films with rock stars in it. I don't know of any others, but, well, there are others, but at any rate, we'll do that. The second round, we will come back and discuss the characterization. And then finally, the third part, if we have time, we'll discuss everything else. The music, which there's a lot of, the special effects, which there aren't a lot of, and anything else you want to talk about. Lighting, or sound, I don't know. The fact that it was filmed in an amusement park, whatever you want to do. So let me go ahead and read through the plot. This actually has a longer plot than is quite imaginable because I think it's actually longer than the actual script. So here we go. At Magic Mountain, Abner Devereaux, the park's engineer and the creator of a series of animatronic attractions, is not pleased that his works are being overshadowed by an upcoming concert by Kiss. Calvin Richards, the park's owner, explains that the concert will generate much-needed revenue to make up for the quality control problems that have plagued Devereaux's creations. Melissa, a park guest, becomes concerned when her boyfriend, Sam Farrell, a park employee and assistant to Devereaux, has gone missing. Meanwhile, three punks sabotage one of the rides, and Devereaux is blamed for the incident. Melissa goes to Devereaux's underground laboratory, which is the last place Sam was seen. Devereaux dismisses her as explaining that he has not seen Sam, but after she leaves the lab, he reveals that Sam has been placed under mind control through the use of an electronic device, a resistor, on the back of his neck. The three punks enter the chamber of thrills, where they fall into traps set by Devereaux. Richard fires Devereaux for his erratic behavior and disregard for the guest safety. Because of this, Devereaux swears revenge upon Richards, the park, and Kiss, all of whom he blames for his misfortune. Shortly after Kiss' first concert at the park, Devereaux attempts to discredit them by unleashing a robotic copy of Gene Simmons to wreak havoc on the park and the security guards. The band is questioned the next day, but no action is taken, causing the park's officials, including the police and Richards, to apologize to them by pardoning Gene of sabotage. Melissa seeks help from the band to find Sam, unaware that the security task she received from Devereaux is a tracking device. Devereaux has Sam break into the band's lair and steals their talisman. But the plan is foiled due to the force field on the talisman's case. Kiss sneak into the park to confront Devereaux, fighting off Devereaux's animatronic white monkeys in the process. Meanwhile, Sam manages to steal the talisman and delivers them to Devereaux, who then neutralizes Kiss with a ray gun. Kiss, having lost their powers, are imprisoned in the underground lab. Devereaux then sends his robotic Kiss copies in place of the real Kiss in order to ruin their concert and incite a riot. The real Kiss manages to retrieve their talisman, thereby regain their powers. They escape and quickly head to the stage where they defeat the imposters and save the concert. Everybody still with me here? Here's the final sentence, which is its own, well, 2 sentences, full paragraph. After the show, Kiss, Melissa, and Richard confront Devereaux in an underground laboratory, only to discover that he is frozen in a catatonic state, seemingly revealing himself as the namesake Phantom of the park. Paul Stanley removes the mind control device from Sam's neck, returning him to normal. Richard laments Devereaux's demise by saying he created Kiss to destroy Kiss, and he lost. An alternative take used in the final dialogue is, he created Kiss to defeat Kiss, and in the end, it destroyed him. Okay, that's what it says. And we'll go on with this in just a moment. I will now take check-ins. If you'd like to join us this evening, I will put you down on the list. Please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and did you see Kiss meets Phantom of the Park? A yes or a no is all you need. An apology is not necessary. So here we begin. Check-ins, please.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo. Yes.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike. Yes.
W5 BLT Whiskey 5 Bacon Lettuce Tomato Bill Garland. Yes.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda, yes.
Oh, Golf 5 Bravo Zulu Whiskey J. November, yes. Kilo India 5 Kilo Whiskey Golf Cruise Arlington, yes.
All right, let me get those checked in. I've got N5BB Bill, he saw it, yes. NT5TM Tony, yes. W5BLT Bill, yes. WB50ZL Brenda, yes. KG5BZW Jay, yes. And KI5KWG Cruz, yes. All enthusiastic yeses. Do I have any additional check-ins? Please come with your call sign, your name. And did you see Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park from 1978? Yes or no is all you need.
Kilo Bravo 9, Sarah Oscar Kilo, Sean in Fort Worth, yes.
Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy, Summit on Echo, I saw it back in 1978. I have not seen it recently. But I think I will have some things to chime in with on the ground. So, keep me in the loop.
The list and ask each person what they thought about the plot. We will begin with Bill, N5BB. Bill, what did you think of the plot to Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park from 1978? Please go ahead.
Tom, first, Billy was trying to check in on Echolink. Can you get her?
Oh, I was so fatigued, I forgot about Echolink. I'm going to put Billy in, KF5POS, KF5PDS, KF5PDS, Billy in Sherman. Billy, did you see the film? I'm sorry, I skipped you. We haven't had anybody on Echolink for this for a while. Please go ahead.
Oh, no problem, Tom. And I'm trying to get back into Afterglow after an absence. So I saw the film in 1978. I have not seen it recently, but I may have some things to contribute to different rounds, especially since you mentioned other movies that contain bands. I find that interesting. So I'll chime in. Just keep me in the loop. KF5PDS.
All right, very good. I've got you down, and there are a couple of people, stragglers, still there on Echolink. Anybody on Echolink who would like to check in to this net, please do so now, and let me know if you saw our fine film for this evening. Echolink only. Okay, I think we've got all our suspects checked in. We'll start with Bill, N5BB. Bill, what did you think of the plot to this fine film?
Oh my, oh my, oh my. This is N5BB. Well, I did not know about this movie until I watched it today. And amazingly, it appears to have been created 45 years ago. And I did not have any interest, appreciation of the music or the antics of the band Kiss or any of their members in 1978. 45 years later, in 2023, I still have no interest, appreciation on the band Kiss, any of their members, what they look like, their music, their poor music, etc. So, that started me out with a bad feeling about the plot because it included, as the focus, the band Kiss. Bad start, in my opinion. Then, it's something they call a movie, I guess a made-for-TV movie or something, but it has a juvenile so-called plot, if you call it that, which is something kind of between Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers and trying to think what else. Some other just really bad, some other really bad story. I don't know. I mean, what's with this ray gun that Deborah has that shoots these rays that disable the talismans, whatever the heck those are? What's with this little of beams that holds the band Kiss in. What? Is this science? Is it magic? Is he a creature from another dimension? I don't know, really. He seems to be some demented person, intent on his own devices, whatever those are. It's not clear, except he likes to produce prosthetic things and can, like you say, control people with putting resistors on their back. The stupidest prop I've ever seen. I mean, when I saw just the resistor, them pulling it out, it's like, oh, they didn't have any money left to do that, and so they just did the cheapest thing somebody could put together. Oh boy. I did not like the plot. I did not like the plot. The plot was not to my liking. It was bad. It was a bad screenplay. It was bad acting. It was bad directing. It was bad cinematography. I mean, they're always kind of looking up at Kiss or something, like the Kiss is towering over them or something. The Kiss guys are all these platform shoes, and they're walking around kind of about ready to fall over on their platform shoes. Bad plot. I'm sorry. Let's see, what else can I say about the plot? I did not, beside the ray gun, there's a lot of other things about the plot that just were meaningless. I didn't understand why the guy was being controlled with the resistor. What was that all about? He was working for him. Evidently, he was doing his job. Why did he have to put the resistor in there and do this mind control thing from his control board? Who knows? It wasn't explained. Why did he create those little creatures or something that were flying around, whatever they were, white bear monkey things? I don't know. A lot of things about this were just completely unintelligible to me. It's just, they could do it, so they did it. Why? That's all I got in 5BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. I put you down as you like the film. Next up is Tony, NT5TM. Tony, what did you think of the Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park from KE5ICX?
Oh, I'm running out of air. Oh my goodness, so awful. Okay. If you truly just want to see a movie that revolves around concert footage, the best such movie, because when I trash a movie, I want to suggest alternatives. Like, here's the book you should read. That's my custom on these nets. I want to give you a choice, an escape, an out. If you want to see a movie that revolves around concert footage and nothing else, Stop Making Sense, directed by Jonathan Demme, is the concert movie that all concert movies aspire to be. He creates, I don't even really like David Byrne, but he manages to make a plot out of David Byrne and Talking Heads and Tom Tom Club, and wow, he's just brilliant. Wow. Stop Making Sense. If you've never seen it before, let me know. I'll buy an extra copy. I'll bring it to your house. It's fantastic. David Byrne himself is kind of weird and obnoxious, but the music in this movie is just, it's so amazing. want to see some 70s hard rock stuff, Alice Cooper's performance on The Muppet Show was spectacular. I mean, he tries to get Miss Piggy's soul, but Miss Piggy, who has been well trained by her agent and is very aware of, how much a soul is worth, completely outbargains him. It's just amazing to watch Miss Piggy versus Alice Cooper. It's a great episode. Maybe the best in The Muppet Show. Oh, but this movie? I mean, what are the stakes here? I rule this amusement park, and if you can't have this amusement park, no one will. And I'm gonna incite a riot that will damage this amusement park. This is like with Dr. Evil asking for $1 million in ransom. I mean, even by the standards of the 70s, they got the plot all wrong. There's just nothing at stake here. Some minor property damage at an amusement park? Why do we care? Well, yeah, repairs are expensive, and I repeatedly during this movie wanted to get roped up and put in a fall harness and climb up that roller coaster. I kind of feel that way about the Texas Giant. I'd like to go help them paint it or something. I just want to be on that structure and help make the structure go. A lot, we're hams. We like to make things work. All that said, The Muppet Show's awesome. Stop Making Sense is a brilliant movie. This wasn't. I don't know why they diluted the concert footage with this absolutely forgettable plot where nothing was at stake and no one will ever care about it or remember it. But they did. It was a terrible mistake. We should have just had a concert video. NT5TN.
Why, thank you, Tony. That was very helpful and very positive response. Next is Bill, W5BLT. Bill, your thoughts on Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park from KE5ICX.
Hey, thank you, Tom, for giving us this fine movie to review tonight. So I fell asleep twice trying to watch this movie, and then I finally got it going today and decided to lift weights so I would have something to do, and about 10 minutes left to go, it gave me an internet connection error, and I let it go. I remember Kiss. One of my friends named Tim was telling me about it, I think when I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I thought, wow, what an odd bunch of guys. There's a few songs that are pretty good by them, but I'll get into that when we talk about music. The plot is very weird. A lot of fillers with the music and things like that. Not a lot of dialogue, so I think that's why I fell asleep. It was just kind of a weird plot. Your typical madmen creating things to try to destroy people or whatever, and then you got to fight back. Didn't really explain how they got their talismans or whatever to make them heroes, and without them they're ordinary people. It's just strange. But I suppose we have to remember back in the 1978, we didn't have internet or anything like that, and it was living for these types of movies on TV, I think. So, I liked the last 2 movies we saw. Unfortunately, I fell asleep during the net. Now I'm awake during the net and fell asleep during the movie. W5BLT.
All right, thank you, Bill, and I think you gave the most coherent response. Falling asleep is your body trying to tell you that you're doing something it doesn't like. So that's okay. Next up is Brenda, WB5OZL. Brenda, what did you think of your film from KE5ICX? That is the plot.
WB5OZL. I could not discern any plot to speak of. You know, they ran over here. They did some stuff. The plot is just very simple-minded. You know, a bad guy's trying to control people and turning them into robots, and just because he's crazy, essentially. And that's about it. I didn't understand why the boss fired this guy, and then the guy just went right back to work. It's never happened for me. When they fired me, I had to leave, and they mailed me a check. I didn't get that part of the plot, why that just didn't make any sense. I also wasn't really sure that these were actually bona fide KISS musicians. They got this makeup on. I did read in, I think it was IMDb, that one of them wouldn't show up to do looping later, and so they had somebody else dub in his voice. They didn't explain why he wouldn't show up. A lot of rock musicians just kind of march to their own drummer anyway. And here's the thing. These guys seem to be permanently made up. I would have imagined that they took off the makeup during the day and assumed their own personas, and they just put the makeup on at night for their performances. But I was interested to find out that, no, they wear the makeup all the time. Oh, let's see what else. The girl was pathetic. She, you know, just wandering around and mooning over this guy who's probably a loser anyway, but they're going to get married, so she's in love. Except she becomes a groupie for a little while with hanging out with the band. So I thought that had more potential than what they showed there. What else? Plot. You know, they had concert footage, and they really attempted to make a movie out of it. There was just no story there. If you're a KISS fan, great. I am not. Never have been. I don't knock them. They're okay. It's just not my thing. All right. I'm going to send it back. WB50ZL.
All right, you did send it back, but it's got an empty tank of gas. But that's okay. Let's see here. Jay, KG5BZWJ, what did you think about the plot?
Okay. Kilo Golf 5 Bravo Zoo Whiskey. Yeah, no plot. Not really. What really to say about this film? I mean, the fact that it's a TV movie makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm actually almost... It does kind of make me nostalgic for those days when I was a kid. Not 9 to 7. Well, I mean, I was a baby in the 70s, but yeah, you just watch whatever random made-for-TV movie there was, and it's like, wow, it's so different. Same problem. It's a lack of boredom, which is a problem. But anyway, it's that all beside the point. I don't know. It was I kind of think it accomplished one goal, which for me would have been so those are the guys that wrote that song. So yeah, now I know. Okay, so everything I want to talk about is not actually the movie. It's just anything. I did like the spinny chair, though, even though I'm not even sure what function that served. I don't know. Unlike some movies, I actually did kind of enjoy it. I don't know why. Again, a lot of times that's just I happen to be in a better or worse mood, and you know, I didn't want to just, unlike some movies, just bash my head against the wall 5 minutes in. I at least was allowed to kind of like, oh, okay, that's what this is, and it wasn't terribly entertaining. It just was silly, just completely silly. And I figured if I just embraced the silliness, I might be okay. And I survived. I just barely I survived, but yeah. Yeah, I had next to Perseus. This is KG5BGW.
All right, thank you, Jay. Next up, KI5KWG. Cruz, you always have something incredibly positive to say about any film that we talk about, and I bet you incredibly positive to say about this film from KE5ICX.
KI5KWG. Well, any film that Brenda recommends, you know I'm going to love. I was not a big fan in those days. I kept thinking back, spring break of 1978, my senior year in high school, RHS Louisville. And on one night down at Port Aransas, we had to go into Corpus. My girlfriend and I went and saw Foghat with Judas Priest as the warm-up. So the next night, we went to a movie, and it was Saturday Night Fever. So that was a pivotal moment in music history in my life, where we went from rock and roll to disco, and I was not pleased. So I couldn't have named a Kiss song. I knew them, and I heard every song I think they played in this film. I knew, I recognized from those days. Still not a huge fan, but I kind of liked them. I thought the music was probably the only redeeming aspect of the film. As for the plot, I wrote this down. I read the synopsis before seeing the film, so my expectations were significantly low, and I was basically braced for it. Here he said so briefly. As I have it, the plot was about a TV network wanting to gain ratings boost over their rivals by exploiting a rock and roll band in a quickly thrown together screenplay, and it worked. So that was what I had as what their true plot was. I went in expecting that. That's what I saw. And I got some music that wasn't awful. But golly, there really was no plot, was there? It was just kind of cheap special effects. Poor acting, and a few actors that probably wish their names weren't listed, and I thought that summed it up nicely. The KISS members have a rule forbidding mention of the film in their presence. I was like, yeah, I get that. So that's really all I've got on this. KI5, KWG, back to them.
All right, thank you, Cruz. Next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, your thoughts on the plot for KISS meets The Phantom of the Park from KE5ICX.
Yeah, this is KB9SOK. I'm not sure there's a lot to add to this. really what this boils down to is what it felt like to me was just basically a really extended long music video. This seems like something that might have been on MTV, had MTV been on the air at that time. And that's really what it felt like. It's like they needed some cheesy story to go along with their songs just to promote the songs. And that's really all this was. Obviously, if you're a KISS fan, you probably got a kick out of this back in the 78. If you're not a KISS fan, you probably thought this was just totally ridiculous, which it pretty much was. Obviously you recognized a couple of the songs from back in the day, and a few of them had never heard of. The whole plot was just, kind of ridiculous. And we've seen this thing before in many science fiction where, you remote control people. But it's kind of a stretch to have a engineer go from developing animatronics to magically finding a way to remote control people with the little ridiculous resistor that he used. It's kind of just ridiculous. And for this little tiny theme park, which we only saw like 3 rides of, so it must have been super small, why would they have such an elaborate laboratory? How could they afford that? This underground super laboratory with all this stuff, something like that would cost millions of dollars, and clearly this park wasn't going to bring in that kind of money. So, it was kind of ridiculous. Maybe the spinning chair is the coolest thing in this entire movie. And I'm pretty sure I've actually seen that lab or set used in other movies because it looked vaguely familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was another, I don't know if it was a TV show or another movie where they actually used that same theme park because parts that were familiar. And I think I've seen a few of them sets in other movies. So clearly this was super cheaply made, just kind of like a music video. Like I said, if you like KISS, you like this. If you don't like KISS, you're definitely not going to like this. And maybe even KISS fans don't like it. But just kind of silly. But that's all I got. Back to that. KB9S, okay.
All right, thank you, Sean. Next up is Billy. Welcome back, Billy. KF5PDS. Billy, what did you think of the plot from KE5ITX?
As you described it earlier, Tom, it's a vehicle for the band. I'm not sure that it goes anywhere. It's a vehicle with a flat tire. I really honestly do not remember much. I was just listening to you describe the plot, and I vaguely remember that it was like a made-for-TV movie. And, we were in grade school, so, when you're of that age and you're a KISS fan like we were, when the albums were coming out and everything, it was fun to watch as a kid, but I'll have to go back and watch it. I'm sorry I missed it in time for the net, but listening to what others said about the mashup, I remember KISS, they derived their look from Kabuki theater, so it's kind of like, to me, like Kabuki theater meets Scooby-Doo, except Scooby-Doo has better plots. And I really like Tony's mention of Stop Making Sense. Every time that comes on television, I will watch that. That is, like you said, the creme de la creme. It's what all these band movies aspire to. I will throw another excellent one out there for folks if you're a fan of Duran Duran. They have a great concert film that was directed by David Lynch called Diamond of the Mind, which has some kind of mind-bending video that goes with the excellent footage of the band. So that ranks right up there with Stop Making Sense. Ones that are at the bottom of the spectrum, kind of like this one, a fun one is the Ramones' Rock and Roll High School. I think that one's more fun to watch than the KISS one, and because it captures the Ramone high school vibes. It's really that's a fun one to watch, even though it's kind of the same painful plot type thing, vehicle for the band. And another one that's got slightly higher production value, but still has a very thinly veiled plot, and is clearly a star vehicle for the performer, is Rick Springfield's Hard to Hold. Because that really it has concert footage, but then behind the scenes, love story, But it's great for the fans. You know, I'm all for people if they like these things because they're fans of the group or fans of the artist. You know, more power to them. It's fun for people, then great. So I'll just leave it at that because I don't really remember much. But I may have some more for the next round. So I'll throw it back to you, Tom. This is KF5TDS. Back to net.
All right, very good. Thank you, Brenda, for the thank you, Billy, for the recommendations. I wrote down some of those films. See if we can get around to watching them here sometime in the future. I will now ask if anyone else would like to join us this evening. Before I give my comments, tonight's movie we are discussing is Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park from 1978. If you'd like to join us, now is the time. Please come with your call, your name, and did you see this film at any time in the past?
Oh, I got here in time to hear Tom's comments. N5SQA Ron Dallas did not see the film. You can leave me out of the round. N5SQA lurking.
All right, thank you, Ron. Thank you for checking in. Well, of course, I do have an opinion of this, and mine is a little different than everyone else's. I'm thinking about amusement park malfeasance. That's right, amusement park malfeasance. You try and say that twice. And this has to do with amusement parks and films where they just can't seem to get their collective act together. I speak of Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Jurassic Extra Park, whatever. How do they manage to always come up with a park that has, in this case, dinosaurs, and they always escape? Who goes and actually insures these things? Who builds them over again? What, Richard Attenborough? That means nothing. And here it is, Magic Mountain, another park. In this case, taking all the money and putting it in, equipment from Woody's props, and hiring Anthony Zerbe to run the thing. I thought, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, they let the guy wander around the park. I guess they live in the park too. I don't know where these people live. I don't know. And the rats on the whatever that was, the mechanical rat, I guess, what their apes or minions or I don't know, something. They was climbing the roller coaster. Nobody stops them? What? Security doesn't have, block and tackle to go up there, or, they've got guns. Why didn't they just shoot them? They both had guns. By the way, the one guy, the guard, let me say this. Of course, this could be for the next round. I think it's Brian James, I think is the name. I'm not sure. He played a security guard, but he also played an android in Blade Runner. Coincidence? I don't think so. And another amusement park with malfeasance. Did things poorly. Westworld. Not only did they go and build Westworld originally and then kill all the guests, they went back and built it again and called it Future World. Future Westworld, where the same damn thing happened a second time. Again, the insurance thing is just out the window. This movie came before well, maybe not. Let's see, when did Westworld came? 73, I don't know. So maybe Westworld came first. So this film with Kiss was to caution about amusement parks with androids and dinosaurs. That is where this is very much taking us. This is what people miss. It's not Kiss in the music, which is superb. Everybody loves Kiss and whatever they are, the cat, the devil, and the I don't know, the conductor guy, and the the rat. I mean, that just goes with KISS. So you expect that, but the deeper meaning of the entire story had to do with the fact that this is a cautionary tale. Okay, I do have comments about Stupid Sam and his girlfriend Stupid, but first, let's go up to the top of the list and talk about characterization. Bill, N5BB, your first stab at characterization for this film, AE5ICX.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is N5BB. Well, as you previously mentioned, Anthony Zerbe as Abner Devereaux was evil. He's like Mike Myers must have looked at him to do Dr. Evil. I don't know. He's just evil. And I agree with Brenda. I think there is some continuity and editing problems. He should have fired them afterward. How in the world did he fire them? And 1 minute later, he's back in there, walking back into his lab, doing the same things for another several days, it appeared. Made no sense at all. But Abney Zerbe as Abner Devereaux is Mr. Bad Guy. And he's typecast. That poor guy was in all kinds of things as the misfit, the bad guy, the guy that just couldn't do it right. That typically when you see him in a movie, you typically know he's got to do something he shouldn't be doing. Carmine Caridi was Calvin Richards, the guy that owned the place, that was trying to keep it running. Guy. He kept telling Abner, "You're fired. I don't like what you're doing." But he didn't haul him off. He had security guards there. They could have grabbed Abner and dragged him away and, changed the keys in the lock and whatever. Gone in and turned off his computer. I don't know. He didn't do it. But again, I saw him in some other things too, and he was kind of typecast. Of course, the KISS people were typecast. They played themselves. They played their KISS characters, which I didn't really understand or appreciate, and made no sense to me. And I didn't understand the fire coming out of the mouth and the beams and the talismans, but I guess they played those cast members. They played their KISS characters. How about the three juvenile delinquents? You know what their names were? The girl was Dirty D, played by Lisa Jane Persky, who, when you go look her up, has been in a jillion things. This was the first year she got into acting, and so it was one of her early things, but she was in a jillion TV shows and a few movies, did a whole bunch of stuff. But she probably wants to forget she was ever in this movie. And then there was Slime and Sneed. And Slime, I looked up, he was in a whole bunch of things. I mean, this wasn't just a guy that only was in one thing. And so was the other guy, Sneed. Was in a whole bunch of TV movies and things. So these actors were enough to at least stay in the business for a while. But, and I guess they did what they were told to do in this movie. But, man, what they were supposed to be doing, acting as the juvenile delinquents, was stupid. And I guess they played stupid. Just really stupid. Oh, what else can I say? Is there anything else to say about the acting and the characterizations? You don't understand hardly anything about these people. I mean, you don't understand anything about why Anthony Zerbe as Abner Devereaux, why was he that way? Why was he mad at the world? Why? Why did somebody give him all that money and let him set all that stuff up? Why? Why was he setting up all these robots? Why was he fighting Kiss? Why? There's no motivation for this characterization, so it's just dumb. In the Kiss characters, why were they doing all that? Why were they fighting Zerbe and his people? Why? They should have taken them, called the police, take the money and run. Why were they did? I didn't understand any of the why, the motivation for the characterization. Melissa, I guess, the girl that was so enamored with the guy that got the resistor in his neck, she was just, she had one thought in her head: go get my boyfriend so I can go marry him. That was the only thought she had in her head, and she came over as kind of dumb. If she thought something was bad was going on, file a police report. Do something else. Get a lawyer involved. Don't go wander around the park and ticking people off, including the security guards. Anything else I can do? The guards. Clueless, mindless, spineless. I don't know. I guess the actors did what they were supposed to do. They acted, I guess, believable considering what the way their characters were written. But the writing was horrible and formulaic and worse than a comic book. That's all I got about that. Inside BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. And I think you did say the word why 37 times. And I think you'll probably say it a few more times before this is over. NT5TM. Tony, would you like to use the term why in your description of the characterization and acting from KE5ICX?
Why, oh why would you think I would do that? And more importantly, why did these actors not call their agents or lawyers and say, why get me out of this movie? I found the characters to be absolutely forgettable and pointless. I hadn't actually known before this movie that the various band members of KISS had distinctive makeup. I guess that was one thing I learned from this. I thought they just kind of wore random, silly black and white makeup. Random. I didn't know. I was kind of young in the 70s. I didn't remember this stuff. So apparently they had distinctive makeup styles. Didn't know that. Whoopsie. Boys, a Joel Schumacher film. Just one 80s cover band after another. Yeah, the Lost Boys is so much more fun. And they don't make you watch people with, like, clown makeup on their faces. So, yeah, the characters to me were absolutely forgettable, except that I I did learn one thing. Their makeup apparently was supposed to mean something. Oopsie. NT5TM.
Ah, yes. Thank you, Tony. By the way, I love The Lost Boys. It's a favorite movie of mine, and I'm not a fan of horror or the vampire thing or anything, but that is actually absolutely a fun movie to watch. Okay, next up is Bill, W5BLT. Bill, you're on the characters and acting in Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park from KE5ICS.
Well, I think that we will appreciate all the other characters and all the other films that we've seen so far more after watching this movie. Kiss played themselves, kind of. The one that wasn't showing up, I think there was some, perhaps, rumor has it on the internet that there was some partying and different things like that going on, and so maybe there were conflicts there, getting up and filming. No, I just, the characters to me, I didn't care. Couldn't name any of them for you except the band members and Kiss, and I think the doctor was just mad because they were getting headlines and he wanted his park to have rides. I don't know. I have nothing to say about characterization on this movie. I'm sorry, for the first time in my life I feel a loss for words. W5BLT.
It's okay, Bill. Your default answer to everything is what's pretty much been the main theme. Why? Why? That's all you have to do is put the word why in front of or at the end of any statement about this film, and you pretty much nailed it. Brenda, WB50ZL. Brenda, what words of wisdom do you want to bring to us about characterization?
This is WB50ZL. Oh, gee. Mostly insipid. Or stereotyped. You got the typical bad guy who's all out for profit, willing to do anything for it, and then your mad scientist who, for no good reason, is taking over people. Now, they had cops on duty there. Nobody reported these people missing. The boyfriend that had been missing for several days, his girlfriend is the only one that missed him. He didn't have a roommate or parents. And, he went off to work and didn't come home. Didn't anybody think that was strange? So, I just thought the characters are on the whole pretty unbelievable. And the Kiss characters, I don't know what these people are really like, but I was kind of surprised to learn that they have superpowers. Who knew? Let's see, what else? That's about all I have to say about it. I'm going to turn it back. WE50ZL.
Oh my, I think we're running out of gas on this film. KG5BZWJ, your thoughts on characterization from KE5ITX.
KG5BZW. I don't really have any thoughts on characterization, but I will show you something I did find while I was trying to find that theme park information about that theme park. I didn't find any information about. I just didn't. I kind of cut my search short because I found this fact, which might be more interesting anyway. Turns out there was a little comic that was written about KISS, and that comic apparently explains where all the talismans came from. They're apparently given to the KISS members as teenagers, and some they didn't really summarize the story, but that explains at least a little bit of the why. But I don't really have anything else. These characters are stock characters. Who knows just how much the KISS members, what was ascribed to the KISS members followed previous lore. Other than that, don't know, don't really care. So that's all I got. KQ5EZW.
Okay, well, they're getting shorter and shorter. Okay, I5KWG. Cruz, what'd you think of the acting in our fine film tonight?
KI5KWG, acting is meh. Characterization, I kind of was listening to the rest talking about, didn't know they had the makeup. Well, I knew they had the distinctive makeup, but I didn't know they had personas. I didn't know they had names. And while I watched the film and kind of interested and thought they might develop on that and tell me who these characters were, if they really were doing that, I missed it and didn't care, and I couldn't tell you who any of the names were. And that says something about the acting and the characterization, doesn't it? Don't know what the character names were, don't care. Yeah, that's what I've got. KI5KWG, back to net.
Oh my, we're just blowing through this one. Next up is Sean, KB9SOK. Sean, you have something to say about the characterization, I'm sure, from KE5ICX.
Well, this is KB9SOK. I wish I did have something positive to say about these characters. As Bill mentioned, a lot of these actors had done a lot of other stuff, and unfortunately they just had nothing to work with in this film. Just really horrible writing, which, didn't give the actors, excuse me, sorry about that, a whole lot to work with there. And then the actual KISS band members, when they attempted to actually do something other than sing, was pretty horrible. Not a lot there with the characterization. Unfortunately, the whole thing was just kind of, not a lot to say. The only thing I will mention, and it's kind of sort of on topic, was the only thing that did positive I came out is it did remind me of when I was a kid. There used to be this little fair we used to go to, and they always had the carnival. They'd always, the traveling carnival with the rides, and it's this little bitty town of probably only like 8,000 people. But for some strange reason, it was a very popular little fair, and every year they managed to bring in big names, very popular groups for usually one night only, and they used to bring in huge crowds in this little bitty town, and it kind of reminded me of that, and that was a good memory of going to that fair when I was a kid. But other than that, that's about the only positive thing I got for this one. So back to net. This is KB9SOK.
All right, thank you, Sean. Next is Billy, KF5PDS. Billy, your thoughts on characterization?
I'm kind of with Brenda on this, is what gets very formulaic. Like you have your typical, like she said, your typical bad guys, your typical good guys, your typical goofs, the blundering assistants and things like like that. So really written to focus more on the band. So I don't know. I'm running out of gas myself. So I really don't have much to add here. So I'll throw it back to you, Tom. KF5 PBS, back to net.
All right, thanks, Billy. Anyone else want to check in at this point? Please come with your call sign. Oh, I heard someone out there. Try one more time. We barely got you. You may want to speak up a little bit. I'll turn my radio up because you were kind of quiet into the repeater. Try one more time.
Mike Kilo, Sam and Richardson.
Hey, Sam. I didn't get your call. If you don't mind, could you give me your call? And then go ahead with any of your comments you might have about this fine film.
No comments. I didn't see the film, but I just checked in. I turned the radio on and it sounded like a semi-interesting discussion.
All right. Well, thank you. We're here every Saturday night from 10:30 until about 12 o'clock, and we talk about a signed film. If you stick around, you'll find out what the next film is and how you can find out what all the films are that we review and discuss. We've been doing this for probably, I don't know, 7 years, something like that, maybe longer, I'm not sure. Several hundred films we've actually reviewed, some of them twice, but you're more than welcome to come on by. All right, my comments, I don't have a lot either. I mean, I think it was kind of interesting. They had the like 50s biker dudes and do that, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they did that even in the 70s. It was more like something out of one of the beach blanket movies with, I don't know, Maury Amsterdam playing the head of a motorcycle gang, which, by the way, Maury Amsterdam was more realistic as a motorcycle kingpin than the guy who was there, who I guess went on and played a lot of bad guys later on. Chopper, I guess, John Dennis Johnston. He actually did a lot of stuff after that. I think Bill mentioned that as well, as kind of a semi-bad guy and everything. He was even in some decent films like Close Encounters and I don't know. There were a few others. That's the one that comes to mind after looking at the IMDb on him. So I found those three characters kind of, it's okay, but it didn't make any sense in the film, but then nobody made any sense in this film when you really think about it. Anthony Zerbe, playing Anthony Zerbe, he was good. I thought it was pretty funny. For whatever reason, he decided to go ahead and put his hands in his pockets, and that's how he walked around with his head down. I guess the defeated anti-hero. I love the idea that his moving console thing, he treated it like it's like the organ like you would have in Phantom of the Opera and turning it around and all that. He needed a mask. Maybe he could have borrowed one from either the spaceman, the demon, I don't know, whatever they were, the Indian and the construction worker from KISS. That might have worked out. I don't know, but in any case, he did okay with with no script actually, and where they got the name Abner and Devereaux in the same, I don't know, just very odd. The whole thing. The thing that we got to keep in mind, and I'm going to tell you this. This thing was written, produced, directed, and spewed out out on the screen by Hanna-Barbera. Now, those are the same people that do all of the animation, and I think the only things that they did beyond that might have been, what is it, the daytime TV show. I think that it had the dogs in it, with the six-wheeled cars going around. The Banana Splits, I think that was theirs. That's what it was. My brother watched that show, and I am pretty positive he received brain damage from watching those episodes over and over again. In fact, I'm positive of it. About the brain damage, I don't know about what caused it, but I think the Banana Splits probably had a lot to do with it. I think that was Hanna-Barbera. I could be wrong, but does it really matter at this late juncture? Probably not. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I know we got 15 minutes. I could belabor this and put us down through the list again on special effects. Instead, what I'm going to do is take your call sign. If you've got any final comments, they can be about the special effects in the film, something you missed on prior rounds, whatever you want to bring up. I will take it in the order that you guys give me your call sign. So if you would like to have a final comment, please come with your call sign now. And Billy, just put in the chat because you may not be able to do it. If you've got a final comment, just throw it in there and say yes, and I'll put you on. Everybody else, just throw out your call sign.
W5BLT, Bill, going to rally on this one.
KI5KWG, cruise.
Okay, we got two. So we'll start with Bill, W5BLT. Bill, your final thoughts on Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park.
So, one thing I will say is there was a wonderful version in this movie, and I'm going to actually give it a positive. There was a wonderful version of the Beth, which I've always heard on piano, but it had the acoustic guitar version of that song. And so, for me, that was the high point of the movie, is hearing that acoustic rendition, since I like playing guitar, although not very well. That was a high point, I thought, out of all the songs that they did. I've heard all the other songs before, but I've never heard that acoustic version. And so I thought that was a good version in the movie. W5BLT.
Okay, very good, Bill. And yeah, we kind of forgot. We were watching this really bad script story and all of that, and forgot about the music. Actually, you know, Kiss isn't for everybody, but there's a number of, big hits that were in the film, and they were nicely done, so we'll give it that. Cruise, KI5KWG, your thoughts from KE5ICX.
KI5KWG, just one final barb I had scribbled down, and that was that both the depth of characterization and the special effects, if you like this film, you're going to absolutely love going to Chuck E. Cheese. KI5KWG, back to net.
Oh, how wonderful. Okay, here we go. Here's what we got for next week. This actually could be a good film. It's called Robot and Frank from 2012. I saw the preview on it. It looks pretty good. I will double check and make sure it's available. And then for all of you who are getting suicidal about the fact that we haven't had a good movie in a while, well, in the last couple of weeks, the following week, which will be, I put 721 out. It's 121-22, Robot and Frank. The following week after that, we'll do a redo of Apollo 13. Yes, Apollo 13, a good film, since we did Marooned last week. So that's it. Next week's movie, Robot and Frank. I will post it. I will send it an email. If you are not part of email, you're listening in and you would like to be, just send me your email address to me, which is Kilo Echo 5 India Charlie X-Ray, KE5ICX@yahoo.com. Or you can go to the Facebook page, which is Afterglow Movie, 2 words, Afterglow Movie, and sign up there. I also post it there as well. So we'll see you next week. I don't know. I may hit the hay. I've got to go down and see my mother now, but I go down and see my mother this week and come on back. So I'll be out of pocket for a little bit, but I will be back in time for the movie. Had a good time. I'm amazed we were able to actually talk about this film in some way, shape, or form, but we did. Amazing. So I'll say 7-3 to everybody. Have a good evening. We will catch you again next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. This is KE5ICX from Clear, returning the repeater to normal, non-movie interest. Bye-bye.
Tom, I would wager you that our group has talked about this film in the last 90 minutes and made more comments about it than any other group of people has ever made about this film. Inside BB Clear.
Yeah, I'll pop in on that one. I agree with you. The amazing thing is some of these films we have, some of them are older films, of course, and they run a little over an hour, like 70 minutes. We've easily gone to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours on some of the shortest films imaginable. It is possible. It's actually kind of crazy, but it's true. So what can I say? KE5ICX.
I can just imagine. Oh, by the way, the director on this film was actually directed all kinds of things. He came up doing some work with Alfred Hitchcock as an assistant director, and went on to direct a whole pile of movies. But man, why in the world did he get involved with this? It's probably for money. That's my guess. Anyway. It's just interesting. I can just imagine somebody that was, young when that movie, some actor that was one of the younger actors there, that are still around now. I can just imagine them driving through Dallas, and they got a friend that's got a ham radio, and they're mobile, and they turn on the 88 repeater, and they hear us talking about it, and they probably have a heart attack. Man, you mean somebody's still watching that old piece of junk? Oh, well. Inside BB Clear.